Hello, 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 and welcome to the Refinery episode 2. I am so stoked that you are here. Today's topic is about fathers and their roles in our lives and how they shaped us and what fatherhood means in the past and the present and what fatherhood means going forward in the future. So we are pretty excited to talk about this. If there's a topic that you want us to talk about in the future on the Refinery, let us know in the comments below. We always appreciate every single one of them. And if you're not already a member of this amazing community that we're building, please like and subscribe so you never miss another part of love. No matter what, we're so stoked that you're here today. And yeah, let's get into it.
Look at this dude.
Look at him.
Look
at him.
Over here.
The leading man. There he is.
And then with his beard.
Yeah, look at the hair to the side. I got a lot of compliments about your voice, John.
Oh yeah.
People like your voice.
All right, I'll take that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also got some compliments on my voice.
You're just always shirtless. You don't have to say anything. You just sit in front of the camera and just be shirtless.
I wear so few shirts usually that I put on 2 tonight.
Ooh, to make up for it.
Yeah, that's how I do it. I double down on shirts occasionally, and then I just don't wear them for the rest of the time.
The moment the camera turns off.
That's it. Everything's off, yeah.
My entire goal with this. All right,
that's funny.
Gents, I am so stoked that we are all here together for the second episode of the Refinery.
Yes, sir.
This is awesome. I'm so stoked.
Yeah.
First things first, how was everybody's week? How was everybody's day, week, everything? John, you want to go first?
Yeah, week's been good. It's opportunities are flowing, ideas and collaborations, and almost daily I'm getting like phone calls of just people wanting to get creative on projects. I think everyone is now re-envisioning, coming from the event industry, re-envisioning what events is going to look like. And super exciting. It's super exciting.
Nice. I'm going to have to pick your brain about that because I've got some friends in the, obviously in the entertainment industry and just people who are producers, other side of the business that are live events coordinators, on a large scale. So I might pick your brain about that and see if I can't bring something to the next trivia night that I don't go to.
Absolutely. It's exciting. It's exciting. Good stuff coming.
Man. I planned a birthday party. I planned a Zoom. I planned a cake to be delivered to Newcastle. So it's been a week, and I'm finally not up at 1 a.m. to talk to somebody in another country. So I'm getting good sleep.
Nice.
So life's kind of going back to normal just a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Now, how far is Newcastle from Brandon?
Hence, Newcastle from Brandon is probably 35 to 40 minutes.
Nice. That's nice.
Yeah. So Newcastle's north, and then Brandon's a little bit south. Yeah.
Hold on. Does John know about this? John.
Well,
I don't think John.
Is Brandon a city or is Brandon the person?
Exactly. Isn't that really the question?
That is the question. I do say, Colt. I do say, yes. That is the question, Jonathan. Yes. Where is he? Yes. No. So Alexandra's mom and her grandma grew up in Brandon, Newcastle area, right, which is a part of Great Britain. And
that's
so
what I thought you were talking about.
Right. So it's kind of this crazy, ironic coincidence, series of events, not really real life, when someone sends you a sign of a town that they're in named after you. And then there's Brandon Lane, there's Brandon Grove Street. And it's should I just move there? Should I just be the mayor? Should I just own the town? It's technically, is it my birthright?
I think that's how it works. I saw it at Fifth Creek, and that's how it works.
Got it.
If
there's a town called Colt, you just.
Yeah. Well, we're currently up in the Northeast in the woods, 35 minutes from Angelina. And that is.
You own it.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's why we came up here, obviously, to be mayors. And obviously with our voting process in the shambles that it is, that's how things work now. If you have you win. That's your thing. Segue. So that leads us in absolutely no way into our topic of the week, but I am so excited for the topic of the week that I want to get us talking about it so we can get into it. The topic this week, Brandon, this was your idea, so do you want to introduce it?
Oh man, well, gentlemen, I watched this amazing documentary by Bryce Dallas Howard called Dads. And the thing about this documentary, what I love doing with Fatherhood Fridays, is this amazing idea of pushing forward, shedding light on like the good, the jewels, the gems, like really the meat of fatherhood that I think society doesn't really promote or push that much, right? We celebrate moms all day, and rightfully so, right? You have a lot of single moms, a lot of single parent homes where mom's raising all the kids, they're going to work, they're playing mom and dad. And you don't really see that a lot in society with fathers. But I think we had to shift the lens and shift the spotlight a little bit because we are men, right? Every guy on this call in some way, shape, or form is going to be a father or a dad. And what does life look like if you don't have a positive example of that? Like if you don't have that in front of you or to see, then where do you, I love when he does this. When you don't have that, then what do you strive for to become if there's nothing to show you a path? And we are seeing more and more great examples, and I'm sure both of you can attest to this, of really, really amazing dads doing amazing things. And it's not to discredit the men from before. I know I'm on somewhat of a tangent, but they did what they could with what they had. And with the information we have, I think we're doing it a little bit different and honestly, maybe a little bit better.
I completely agree with that. I'll piggyback on that. This is actually part of like, what do we think is it's one of the last questions that I was going to talk about, but it kind of goes in line with that. I think the most important thing for fathers that we're seeing more and more, and that hopefully every generation sees, it's one of the things that my dad talks about all the time. And it's very funny. My dad is a story-driven man, which probably explains why I talk so much and tell very lengthy stories as well. I love listening to his stories. He's a great storyteller, but he always kind of hits these certain points. And one of those certain points is that he'll call me sometimes and just be like, "Hey, buddy, you know I'm proud of you, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, Pop, I know you're proud." He's like, "Only thing I ever want for you is to be better than me." The only thing he wants for his children is that we are better than he was. And as he always says, and you are. That's his whole goal. And I think that should be the goal of all of us, whether it's just as humanity, but especially, within the confines of this, talk. As fathers, I think that's a cool thing that we've seen. And I think it speaks to what you were saying. It's not about looking at them and being like, well, you guys didn't do good enough, or before them, you fucked up, you fucked us up. It's not that. We're all consistently getting better. And that's the goal. I think that's what all fatherhood should be about, is just helping them however you can to be the best possible versions of themselves.
Yeah.
To make that next generation better than us. Taking that ego out of it. I dig that.
Yeah, I agree. My personal experience has been interesting over the years because my dad was a dad through a phone. I grew up in a different state than my dad. So my dad tried to do the best he could through a phone and provided, and was he took care of us. There was never any issues of him not being there and supportive, but it was interesting to not having physical person there. Kind of like how you were saying, Brandon, like someone to actually watch as a role model. But it is like you were also saying, it's just like he wants the best for me. He wants the best for my brother, and he wanted like whatever he could do to provide the life that we wanted. He wanted to do, and it's kind of like what you're saying. It's like growing up now. I think we're asking ourselves more of like, what do we want the future generation to have? What do we want to? How do we want to provide for them? Yeah, I think it's an amazing topic, and I'm very happy that we're talking about this because I think as men, I think we've, especially as men who've kind of looked into our past and seen how our childhood and how we've grown up, how it's affected us in different places, we now can understand the future impact that we're going to have. We're more conscious because my dad's from Poland. He comes from Eastern Europe where there is no, like, there wasn't emotions. Like, what do you mean? Like, there's no, you man up and you deal with it. My dad, for a long time, didn't believe there was such thing as depression. He thought depression was, you're just sad, like, stop being sad. And it was until conversations that him and I would have where he started understanding, but he would tell me, he's like, no one talked about this when I was a kid. Like, my father never told me. His dad was in the military and was general, which was very stern. And so there wasn't these conversations. And so now, knowing how important to have these conversations, especially with kids, and understanding emotions, I think is just an amazing topic to converse with other men with, and also just talking about what it means to be a father, because I think we're seeing more men show up.
Absolutely. Well, I kind of feel like that's a good segue into the first question. Do you feel like your dad did a good job, and why? You kind of answered it, but if you were to go with like that question, what are the defining factors of that you feel like stood out to you?
It wasn't until I was older that I understood this, but I remember anytime we
needed. It's not like always, we're all going to be like, yeah. It's funny, I didn't understand when I was older.
Until I got older.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because like my whole thing is, if I need something financially, Dad, I want to go on this school trip. Dad, I need new shoes. Whatever it was financially, no worry. You always, here's the money, here you go. But outside of that, it wasn't like, hey, Dad, I need to talk about how to date. Like, I don't know how to ask a girl on a date. Just ask the girl on a date. It was like his response was also always was my question in just a statement. Dad, I don't know how to do this. Just do it. Okay. And eventually, once I got older, I had the conversation with him where he was taught by his father, you're a good father if you provide for your children. If your child has food on the table, you're doing a good job. And so I can't fault him for how he was raised. And so as much as I wish he was more involved, I wish he was there, I wish there's things he had done, I look at the grand scheme of things and it was like, I had a great childhood. Like for what it was, like I was raised by a single mom, but he provided where he needed to provide. And felt like he did a good job. And I can understand where he's coming from. And now he's much more open to have these conversations where if I'm mad about something, we'll go back and forth about it. And so now the relationship is even growing. And that's, I think, the great thing is because I've gone to therapy and had the more emotional intelligence perspective to have that now with him, he's more open. So I feel like our relationship is continuing to grow even more. Whereas when I was younger, it was coming from expectation. Like now I have the intention to grow with my dad and like learn from my dad. Whereas when I was younger, it was like, I expect you to show up and do this, this, and this for me. And I didn't realize as a kid is like, yeah, that's what I'm being taught, but he wasn't being taught. So I can't fault my dad for doing the best he could with what he had and the knowledge he was given from his dad.
Yeah. Brandon?
Dude, I mean,
like exploding.
Because it's literally my story. It's literally everything he said. To answer your question, was my dad a good dad? I'll say no, but here's why I believe this, right? Because of the lens in which I saw him through at that time.
I get that.
Right? So if you're asking me during that time in my life, no, he wasn't a good dad. Through that lens, right? That's it. Did he try? Yes. But did I give him an opportunity to show me? No. And that's where I had the wake-up call is he was trying, and I never gave him the time of day to show me he could be a good dad.
I get that.
Right? And what's amazing about what Jon is saying is he and I actually on Father's Day, we had a major breakthrough. I'm 31 going on 32, right? I can tell you there's probably 25 to 26 years where I did not call him for Father's Day easily. I would go get my mom like a Father's Day card and give it to her, right? Just the most spiteful dick you could ever.
Did both jobs.
Just the most resentful little brat you could ever think of, right? Just resentful, just emotional, right? You didn't want to be there for me. And we're on the phone, and I have to do his voice because I can't. It's kind of like what you do with your dad. You got country. Like I have to do his voice.
I don't have the octave. I need to go to the vocal coach to have the confused.
To drop down.
Stars one and just like drop my shit.
Drop down.
and then I'll be okay because I don't smoke Marlboro Reds 24/7. Like, so Marlboro Lights.
So Father's Day, we're on the phone, and I was like, "Hey, man, I feel differently about having kids." What you talking about, Brandon? What you mean you feel differently about having kids? You know, what you mean, man? What you talking about? I said, I don't know. Like, I really feel like I was trying to correct the past by having kids early. Like, you and I weren't good, so let me be good with my kids. Oh man, so you try to say I was a shitty dad? You think I was a shitty dad? Is that what you're saying? Okay. Well, that's just nice. Oh, Father's Day, right? So I'm like, yeah, I mean, that is what I'm saying. But I think where we're at now, I can appreciate you, and this is where the table turned. I can appreciate you for the man you are. I said, you have an amazing heart. I said, you're super loving, you're super kind. And when you get quiet and when you get cold, you're just protecting yourself. So now I no longer see you as this man who is isolating himself and being selfish. You're someone who loves so big that you've been taken advantage of, like me. And now your son, who you want to love, isn't giving you the opportunity to love him. So then you just close yourself off, and you can only give me what I'm asking. You're only trying to give me what I'm asking you for, not everything you want to give me, which is time, which is we talk about jazz, which is to give me history, which is to show me who he is as a person. And now at 31, we have the most amazing, like, flourishing friendship I could ever ask for. So then, oh shit, you think you'll maybe gonna cry? You think I'm about to fucking cry on Father's Day? Shit. And then I was like, I love you too, man.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That's
I
amazing.
love that.
It was so good, man. It was so good.
I've said that a lot. It's funny, and like, it's not funny. It's not even ironic. I mean, it's just like the testament to our friendship that's something that I've said a million times, which is that, no, my dad is the most amazing man that I've ever met. He's the most incredible man that has taught me so much about what it means to be a man who is fucking terrible at relationships. Like, awful at marriage and just like the traditional fatherhood thing. But there was something that was so cool. And I've discovered this over the years. My dad had kids with a bunch of different ladies. We're all, like, I have 2 half brothers, I have a half sister. But when I was kind of growing up with them, I didn't think of that any differently. They were just, that's my brother, this is my sister. But because of that and that kind of nature of that relationship and those different moms and all of those situations and who was married to who, like when I met Angelina, she was like, so wait, when was your dad married to your mom? And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, well, were they married? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I never asked those questions because it was kind of just off the table. Like, you didn't ask and you just assumed, and everybody in the family assumes. I asked my brother at one point, I was like, what's dad's heritage? And he was like, I'm gonna be honest, buddy, I don't know. I don't fucking clue. Like, Cherokee, maybe? Like, literally, nobody knew anything because nobody talked about it. And so I tried so hard to run away from who he was and everything that he was for years. And the thing that kind of connects this is that I used to say he's this great man who was a terrible father and is a very good friend of mine now. Like, we are incredible friends, and I learned more from him as a friend, but over that friendship, because that friendship started about 6 years ago, and that friendship has turned back into, I call him for everything. That's my dad. And when I need fatherly advice, I call my dad. I don't call my friend anymore. And that had a chance to kind of re-blossom. It's something that I learned from him very young, and why I do think he was a good dad, in spite of the fact that he was openly would say, no, I'm not a good dad. Like, if I was polite at the Piggly Wiggly and the cashier said, well, honey, you are just the cutest thing. You are just so respectful. Your daddy did a good job. He'd go, no, honey, no, his mama did that. I ain't have nothing to do with that. He would always pass everything to the moms. But I had his blood. We are so similar. I tried for years to escape this man and fucking get that out, and I have nothing to do with you. Go fuck yourself. But I am his blood, and there's so much of him in me that it wasn't until I turned around and looked back at him in the eyes that I saw, I am you, and I have to accept that I can cause the pain that you cause. I have to be okay with the person that I can be. I can't just learn the lessons that everybody tells me to about campfires and fucking baseball games and barbecues. We didn't have that. But the shit that I learned from my dad was not just how to be a good man, but also what not to do. In that sense, I am so lucky and so thankful. And the universe gives you, you know, what you need. And if you, you know, follow kind of I'm not a religious person, but the, you know, Bible passages of, you know, God doesn't give you the strength that you need for any more than today. You have the strength you need for today and no more. And it's funny because the universe gave me exactly what I needed, not what I wanted. So, yeah.
That's a deep breath moment. I'm sorry. Like that was, because all of us sharing, I was like, man, this identity thing when it comes to your dad is so real. It's so real. Yeah.
What's interesting is like growing up, there's some turning point where I realized I always would look at what was lacking. My dad didn't show up like this. My dad didn't give me this. Because while I say my dad helped me financially, my dad also wouldn't just hand me cash just to hand me cash. I had to have a good reason why. And so there are times where I'm like, I want to go do this, or I wanted a new CD Walkman. And he was like, no. He's like, I bought you a tape player like 4 months ago or 6 months ago. He's like, play with that for a while longer. And like, I used to look at what he didn't give me at time. And it wasn't until I got older where it's just like, I can look now the way I take care of people and I care about, because he and the family of, I think he's 3 siblings. And there's a 4th cousin that he also kind of brought under his wing. Anytime any of his siblings are in trouble, always takes care of them. He takes care of anything that needs to happen. He's there. He saves the day. When my grandmother passed away, and he was the one who, like, my grandmother lived with him. And like, he obviously cried, he dealt with it, but then right away, okay, let's deal with the funeral. Okay, let's deal with this. While the rest of the siblings couldn't fathom even thinking about that. And now I look back and I'm like, wow, I got that from him. Whereas same thing as like Cole was saying, I was so adamant. I'm like, I'm not like my dad. I'm not like my dad. And I'm not like the parts I don't like about my dad. But I didn't realize that I am the good parts that I saw of my dad, of what I learned of my dad. And I didn't want to look at that until I got older. I'm like, oh, there's some good to this.
Andrew and I talk about, I'm sorry to kind of cut off the round table that we're doing, but Andrew and I talk about this in every way. And I'm trying to figure out how to shape it into an actual narrative that we can talk about. There's a full circle to everything that everybody is, in my opinion. We talk about this a lot in a very simple way with I don't want to say talent, but with talent with regards to, like, let's say musical theater. You know, you go in and you go, okay, I go to this audition, right? And I can sing the shit out of it. And I'm just like singing the shit out of it. And I know this character, but I don't dance at all. And this character dances, then your circle is 2/3 full. As a person, we think, okay, well, how's this relationship? Okay, well, she's got these things. She's got these things. I don't know about this. Okay, that's how it's full. This, you know what I mean? Like, everything becomes this full circle of, well, how do you look at the actual entirety though? Because no one's a full circle. We're actually these spheres of a million different fucking shapes and things and thoughts. And I just love the concept of, you're looking at what we all do. You're looking at the faults, because how many times were we told, even by those that we love, to look at the faults? And
we're not even going to go down this rabbit hole.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
We're not going down this rabbit hole.
No.
It's true. Like they say, look at the red flags. Make sure you don't see any red flags.
Wow.
We never look for the green flags.
Yeah.
No one ever says make sure you're paying attention to the green flags.
There's other shit there. And we also have to remember that we are also not a full circle to somebody else. Like, it's just that constant kind of revolving and working on those things and looking for that. I love that. The green flag, it's red light, green light, 1, 2, 3, right? Looking for those things though that we can figure out, that kind of map out what we deem valuable and what we deem invaluable, and what we deem not valuable. Those things being very different. Sorry, continue, Brendan.
I've got nothing for you, buddy. That was thanks, guys. And as Colt says before, thank you so much for watching A Part of Love. This is the Refinery.
Hello, everybody.
18 minutes.
Yeah.
Again, great time.
All gems have been dropped. We're good for today.
Hey, we're done for the day. You're welcome, guys.
I will drop the next question on you, Brandon.
Please
what
do.
was the lesson or event, if there was one defining moment, and it may have been the Father's Day talk that you just had, but what other than that was a defining moment? And I don't want to say but a defining moment that you remember as a lesson that you were like, oh, this is something that if you could only have that one moment, that would be the thing that taught you something so necessary from your father. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does make sense. He talks often about how my grandfather never really said, "I'm proud of you. I love you." He never really affirmed my dad. And I can hear it in his voice at 60. And I thought about, and I remember on a phone call in particular, we were talking and I was looking for him to say he was proud of me. And then he brought up my grandfather. And I think in me bringing it up, it like put salt on a wound. Like, I don't think he didn't realize this, where the cycle had gone, and he doesn't want to be that to me, but because he didn't know anything else, he struggles to go past that point because he's like, I don't know how to. So he says, well, you know, right? You know. And when he says, you know, right, I know he's like, I don't have another way to show you, tell you, or make you realize how proud I am of you. But because of my conditioning with my dad, I don't have the skill set or the tools to give you this. This shit is new for me. Mm-hmm. I'm his firstborn son. There's no son before me. There's no boy that looks just like him, has his qualities, has his traits, loves the same music as him, talks like him, drinks whiskey like him. There's no one like him. So he's meeting himself for the first time. And I remember on that phone call thinking, I will never expect this from him again because he doesn't know how to give it to me. And that was my defining turning point in like expectation in the relationship versus giving him the room to like love me to the best of his capacity, which is fucking awesome how he loves me.
All right, Jon. Come on, at Jon Gent.
I mean, I think that example I gave earlier, the thing I learned from him, as much as he was angry or disagreed or whatever the scenario, he never let anyone go without being taken care of. Like, I asked my mom, he never missed the child support payment. He never argued when my mom was like, I need extra money for school supplies or clothes for them for this month or whatever it was. Never argued with my mom. He told my mom, he's like, whatever you need to take care of the kids, I'll give it to you. And then as I got older, having a discussion, I was like, well, where does that mentality come from? And he was taught from his dad, it's like, you always take care of your own. You take care of your family. You take care of your people. It doesn't matter if you're angry with them. It doesn't matter if they pissed you off, whatever it is. It's like, that's your responsibility. He's like, I decided to have kids. I decided to do something that led me to having a child. And now that's my responsibility, whether I like it or not. And he's like, I'm going to be there. I'm going to always be there no matter what. And even to this day, like, I haven't asked my dad for money in years, but he was like, you need money you want to get a new car? I'm like, nope. He's like, okay, well, you let me know if you need money. And I'm like, I'm good, Dad. Thank you. I appreciate it. Because that's his way of showing he cares. He still wants to provide. He still wants to help. And so that's always stuck with me. It's like, and then not even just with family, I've seen it done do it with his friends. Like, he's not a person that will openly go and lend money, but if he sees someone who's struggling, he'll quiet. And I remember being a kid, he'll slide some cash, give it to them, won't say anything really except just like, just take it, never bring it up again. And it was just like, you help where you can, you take care of those around you, you take care of your people. And that is one thing that's always stuck with me. Like, and I've always been, and wherever I can help someone else. And like, yeah, my brother or my dad would even tell me stories of him taking a risk, because where he's at in Connecticut, it's very Polish. So it's a very old school white mentality. And he would see kids that like the other, like he kind of grew up in like a racist, somewhat, he's not racist himself. He knows the differences and everything, but he was always bombarded with kind of racist mentality. Don't hire black people, don't hire Spanish people. And like, they would tell my dad, we shouldn't hire the Spanish people. They're never worth working. And he'd be like, I'm married to a Spanish woman. So you're talking bad about someone I am married to, or was married to, or my kids, you're talking about my kids. And so he would tell me, I'm going to bring this kid, I'm going to give him a chance. He's like, everyone's telling me it's a bad idea. Those kids end up being now managers. And he told me, is like, that whole idea of you take care of people. Wherever you can, you take care of people. Yes, there will be mistakes. Yes, sometimes people will take advantage of you. You do your right. You do right by your side, kind of thing.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that for sure.
I think it's interesting that he grew up in that mentality. And I mean, you know, Brandon and I both grew up in places that are, I would say, less than tolerant. Maybe not on the coasts, as it were. If you were to
you know, just
yeah, just a little, it's just, but not like intense. It wasn't like it was like Georgia and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But that then in the midst of that, his mind was open. I think it speaks to your dad's character, that his mind was open enough, and that he wasn't, I guess, waned. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but he wasn't worried about that. That never crossed his mind, apparently, when he met your mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and with all that indoctrination, he's still like that love. My dad says something quite a bit, which is, you never asked to come here. I brought you here. Like,
man,
it's not to say.
Mm-hmm.
That means it's my responsibility. And I think that your dad obviously hinted at that same thing. And I appreciate that so much, that whether or not, and again, this is something that he said, you know, over the course of, especially the last 6 years, but over the course of my life, we had a good run for like the first 14 years, then a large break, and then some years together since then. But he would always say, you know, you didn't choose to come here. I chose that. And you had nothing to do with your mom and I not getting along. And I remember I was a kid. My dad never chose, it never seemed like age had anything to do with any of his lessons. And I think it was because the lessons that he taught had nothing to do with age. And my most important moment that it takes my soul every time I think about it. And I tell this story, God knows, way too often to my best friend and wife. Like, she knows every bit of this, and I tell her every time, and I watch it shake her, and it shakes me. It takes my soul, and it just goes, we fuck up, and then it puts it back in. I couldn't have been older than 10. And there's two big moments that shaped, I would say, my life with my dad. One of them was this one. We had watched a movie where, I think it was Tombstone. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you haven't, go watch it. Fucking incredible. Sam Elliott also looks like my dad, except my dad's a slightly more handsome, shorter, way more built version of Sam Elliott. Good looking dude. And something had happened in the movie, you know, somebody, I don't want to give anything away, but somebody had died. And I got a little emotional about it. Dad pulled me aside afterwards, And I think he just saw like how kind of torn up I was, because he's a police officer. So, and he was at the time running an undercover drug task force, I think with the GBI and the FBI. And so I pretty much every time I got a call, anytime at my mom's house, I just assumed this is going to be the call where I find out that my dad was killed in the line of duty. And like, that was just the call I always assumed was coming. And he pulled me aside and he said, buddy, I need you to understand something. So if I'm on a bus and I get shot, I need you to know I'm not going to call you. And I remember sitting there and just going, like, what? Like, why would you not call me? Is it like because you couldn't call all of us? And he was like, no, I'm calling anybody. I ain't calling anybody. I'm going to sit there and do what I love doing. I'm going to have a cigarette. I'm going to shot of tequila. I'm going to go out how I live. And I was like, and I'm a child. And I was like, fuck you. That's so selfish. And then he took my face and he looked at me and he said, if you don't know I love you already, then me grasping at it in the last moments doesn't matter. And I was like, that to me forever is going to be what it means to be a dad. It means you chose to bring this person into existence. That life is now your responsibility. It will not always be easy. It will not always be clean, but it is your job to give them the best chance possible and to always let them know you love them. So that, I mean, fucking, in that moment, I learned death is inevitable. Death comes to us all eventually, and we don't get to choose when it is. I don't have as dangerous a job as he does. I'm a performer and a relationship consultant. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, but that doesn't mean that I can't die before him. But if I die, Angelina will never not know how much I love her. My children will never not know that. My family knows that. I don't have to make a call on the last second. And that was something that I think shaped me from, 8, 9 years old on. I know I brought it way down, but I can bring it back up. Wait for this one. In Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, there is a scene towards the end of the movie where the father, who has had a very hard time connecting with his son, because he does it mostly through fishing metaphors, and the mom is no longer around. Again, not to ruin movies for everybody. But there is a monkey thought translator that is placed on his head and around his heart. And this man who has only spoken in, like, when you cast your line and the fish doesn't bite, you pull out an oar, like all these things, he just goes, I want you to know I'm very proud of you. And I always have been. And if your mother was here, she would be able to express it better than I can. Unfortunately, I am here, but I love you and I've always loved you. And it's this moment of just like, the dads who weren't shown that, somehow raised, and not to toot our own horns, but somehow raised 3 men who can't wait to have children and love the fucking shit out of them.
Oh man.
So I guess they did all right.
Yeah,
they did all right. They did all right. And that's what's crazy about this. That's what's crazy about right and wrong, and even with us, wanting to be good dads. I think if there's anything we've learned from our fathers, it's the grace of no one's got this shit figured out. If you're doing the best you can, no one's got this shit figured out. And so I think even with us having the intention of being a good dad, I know there's going to be a day where my daughter's going to look at me like, I hate you because he can't come over. Man, he ain't coming to this damn house. You're not coming to my house. Now, let's go put some damn pants on. I don't give a damn if you went to yoga. Put some damn pants on right now. Get your ass upstairs and do your homework. Talking about, can a boy come over? not my, like, you know, it's good. That day is
Oh
coming.
yeah, no, dude,
That day is coming.
I hope I'm sitting on the couch the first time that happens, because
Yeah.
I'm just gonna record it and then I'm gonna put this video up again. Like, how the version of YouTube is at that moment where everybody just blinks and they're like, "Oh man, remember the Refinery's second episode? This is happening. It's so meta."
Yeah.
I had that today. The friends I'm staying with, they have a baby. They have a daughter that's 8 months old now, and I was telling my friend, the husband was at work, and I was like, "Yo, so I'm totally gonna talk to Ava, and when she gets old enough to understand what pranks are, her and I are totally playing pranks on her dad. Like we're totally gonna I'm gonna send flowers to his daughter at like when she's in the 7th grade from some boy, so I can be there at his house when the flowers come in." That his daughter's getting flowers. Like I want to be there for all these different parts.
I love it. You're gonna be a cool uncle. You just set it up like right there.
Oh yeah.
Not bad at all. I mean, shit. All right. Well, I guess let's move on to what I would consider the last necessary question of the night. Because again, I mean, we covered them all. I even said it when I texted y'all. I was like, these are the things that I would like us to talk about generally. Yeah. However, I'm pretty sure we're gonna unintentionally cover just all of them. Like if I was to guess, if I ask one fucking question in this group, we will talk about all of it.
You go
and a couple of other things. Yeah, there was no need for me to ask any of these questions.
Like, we're gonna get there anyway.
I should have just been like, "How do you spell dad?" And then we'd all just go off on a tangent for the next hour. Covered it. Great job, everybody.
Welcome to the Refinery, guys.
Welcome to the fucking Refinery. All right. So I think we actually covered this in the beginning of it, but I think it is super important to double down on for anybody who is still here. By the way, quick plug. Thank you so much to anybody who is watching this video still and on this channel and checking it out. The Refinery episode 1, I didn't tell you guys this because I wanted to see your reactions. The Refinery episode 1 is the 3rd most watched video ever in terms of hours and actual consumption on our YouTube channel out of 57 videos. So I'm pretty excited about it. I just want to say thank you to everybody who is here on the channel. Quick plugs for everybody before we go, because at the end of this, we always end up cheersing and just wrapping up. Right. So you can follow Jon at Jon Gent on Instagram. I don't believe you have a Facebook or a YouTube. Am I correct?
Yeah, right now it's just Instagram.
Perfect. Brandon G. Alexander. You can find him at the Brandon G. Alexander or at NewAgeGents, his social platform.
Thank you.
And you obviously know where to find us. Thank you so much for being here. We are so stoked. Also, I am at Colt Prattes, and my wife Angelina Mullins and I are also at Colt.and. Check us out on Instagram. Thank you guys so much. Okay, last question. What do we think is most important for fathers to be thinking about and working on present day and moving forward? How are we going to help create the next generation? Brandon?
I'll go first. Loving their mothers. I mean, what better example in life? And even if they're not together, the respect factor, right? Like, let's say they have a situation like Jon or myself or even you, Colt. To see that dad respect and love that mom, even if they're not a couple anymore, even if they're not married anymore, I think that speaks so highly to this idea of love. And then seeing that from a man, that's really to me, that is the goal. That's the meat. It's like men love, men care for, men nurture, men take care of. Going back to what Jon was saying, men take care of. And I think the issue in society was people felt like men were abandoning the women because they were having a child. So what happens when you change the narrative? And then men aren't abandoning women. Men are showing up for the women they've had a child with. Men are showing up for the mother of their children. Men are showing up for the woman they said, I love you so much in this particular circumstance, right? Because that's not everyone's circumstance, but in a circumstance where you say, because Angie, I'm sure you and Andrew are gonna have this talk. I want to make a baby with you. Like, I want to like make a life with you. Mm-hmm. In that choice and in that moment, I think there's this magic that happens of two energies coming together in agreement and saying our life forces, our energies, our DNA, our genes, our history, generation after generation after generation, we're going to bring that together in a moment and do our best in love to bring life into this world. And when that love comes out, it's great for that love to turn around and see love reflected back to it.
I mean, that's the goal, right?
That's the goal. Because why, Colt?
Because it's a part of love.
Love.
I was like, I see it. I see what he's doing here.
It's a quick plug.
No, I think. Well, John, I'm gonna let you go, and then I'll give mine, and I'll do the official.
We're gonna alley-oop it to you. Just alley-oop that bad boy.
I think the saying that's coming to mind is be the example that you wish you had. And that can include the good things that you saw. It's like be the good things that you saw, and then the things that you wish were different, add that in. Like if every decision we make as a man, and knowing that there's a little person watching, what kind of example do we want to be? Like I love the saying of if you had to. This is like when I was younger and I was dating a bunch, and someone once told me, if you had a daughter, would you be happy your daughter dating you? And I was like, damn, like that's an interesting perspective. And it's that example. And it's like, it's showing your daughter an example of how a man should treat her. It's showing your son, like kind of how Brandon, you're saying about how you treat your wife, the mother of your kids, showing your son, this is how you treat your partner, the person that you're creating life with. This is how you treat them. It's standing as an example for your children. And I think nowadays, whatever we didn't have growing up, whether it be like education, whether it be just certain resources, we can figure a way to at least find it. And if we can't, get at least as close as possible. And if we, like, for example, I don't have enough money, let's say, to save, and I'm struggling with money, is sitting down with my child and be like, here's the situation. Like, this is what happens when you don't save. And now we're in this situation, and opening their eyes to getting them to understand, like, this is why when you're young, start saving now. Don't make the same mistakes I did. Because when I made those mistakes, this is what it led to. And I don't want the same things happening for you. And so being that example for your kids to really see that by taking on these actions, especially at a young age, it's just going to propel where their life can go.
I love that. Yeah, I love that a lot. I think, obviously, what you both said is, as always, incredible. You know, we've got to stop telling people that, like, this is a place where you come to have disagreements and to refine yourself if we're just going to agree on fucking everything, because at some point we've got to, you know what, we just need to bring somebody else in that we just don't like, don't agree with. Like, it's just like a plant that we're like, no, fuck you. Nah,
I thought about it. We need a session where we go into it knowing we're going to disagree.
Yeah.
Just so we can show how to have good disagreements and still leave with this,
exactly
with this conversation.
Blue is my shirt, because our computer screens are different. That'll help us out. You know, the lighting, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
agree.
I think that my most important quality that I think people need to focus on, and that speaks to what we've all talked about in this absolutely incredible episode, I'm so stoked on this, is being present. And I don't mean being there. These are two very different things, because I think there's a lot of guys in the last kind of generation, as it were, that are there. But I think the next generation needs to focus on being present. And I think that it's something that we're all very fortunate. Like, you said her name's Ava, your friends, right? And Willa, right?
Yeah, Willa.
Baby.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And I'm very fortunate that my best friend just had a little baby boy named Harrigan. And they're all Will is a little older, but they're all about that same age of we're watching them grow, and we're watching them become life. And that means we've watched all of them literally learn. Like, you watch them learn what it means to get attention. You watch them learn what it means to actually recognize shapes and souls and smells and these things. And I think that being present, like, I'm not a dad yet, but my favorite thing about watching Billy with his baby boy and watching my dad, now that I know what's going on and I'm emotionally more intelligent, is they were present. Dad knew me so much better than I knew myself. He was not there very often. He was a workaholic, spent way too much time doing that. And I think it was because his childhood made mine look like fucking candy cakes and sunshine dreams. And I don't think he knew that he had, as we kind of all said, I don't think he knew he had the ability to be a good dad. So he protected us from himself and his fuck ups by just staying kind of away and staying busy. And then I just think there's something so special, though, about the fact that he couldn't get away from being present. And that's what I want. It's our responsibility, right? We keep coming back. It's our responsibility to see them, every color, every shape that they are, everything they are capable of, and helping mold that, helping them find who they are. My dad says this a lot. He says, a lot of times I would give you guys options. You'd come to me and say, Dad, what do I do? And I would never tell you. I would say, well, buddy, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. Here's the outcomes. Go forth. And that was it. It was figure it out, because I'll be here no matter what mistake you make. But you have to make a mistake, because I can't tell you. You're not going to learn anything from that. But being present enough to know that your child needs to learn how to fucking make a mistake, that's what I think we all need to accept. I think we need to move forward going, I'm not just here in the room going, yeah, no, I'm fucking here. You got a roof over your head. It's the fences speech. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Oof, no, Denzel.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal movie as well. And Denzel was also in the Broadway company. I mean, it was stunning, but I'm going to send you guys a link after this. I love Denzel. I love his interpretation of that. James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones killed this.
Have you seen the Tony?
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to send it to you afterwards. I'm going to send it into our group text. I've watched it probably 100 times, and it's the most jarringly emotional. Like, Denzel gets laughs, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, like, the writing is so incredible, but the actual severity and honest brutality of James Earl Jones is something so remarkable that it's just, I see you, I love you. And he says in there, but I don't have to like you. It's something so larger than anything we've ever been taught. But no matter what, he is present, and he knows what his son's actually asking, even though his son doesn't actually ask it. Because he's present, because he's aware of who that boy is and what he feels he needs to survive in this world.
Right.
That's what I think we owe to our children. And that's what I really hope I can do. Because, here we go, let's all say it together. Being present is what? Is a part of love.
That was good.
Oh, the goober way to say it. But
no one on the call answered this question. So for the audience, because men don't ever really say this out loud.
I love
Colt.
Oh, sorry, what? What?
I love you too.
I know.
Guys, do you want kids?
Yeah. Oh, God.
So excited. So excited.
We want to have kids, right? Yes. She's nodding.
She's nodding. Could you imagine?
Could
you imagine? Right.
No, I can't. I can't fucking wait. She just did a new episode that I just finished editing that was talking about, it's talking about real women, which you guys are just gonna, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
that's part of it that comes in. Like, does it make you less of a woman or less of if you don't have kids or if you can't have kids? And that's a question for another day. Comment below. Let us know what you think. But yeah, I can't wait. And whether they are our biological kids or kids that we are fortunate enough to adopt, I can't fucking wait. I also can't wait to watch her because she's gonna be insane. Like, can't be everything.
Oh man.
You? What about you? I mean, I know.
Sure.
Of course.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it's more now along the lines of like, who do I want to partner with? Like who like I want to partner with someone who I'm like, whether this goes south or whether this works out, like I know that I want to have kids with you, because even if not, our friendship is going to be so intact that we can raise this person and they'll know that both these people that made you love you. Mm-hmm. Whether we're married or not, we love you. Mm-hmm. And we love each other. And that's what matters. That's what I'm like. That's the priority.
John? Come on now.
Yeah, I'm excited for one time. It's similar to like Brandon said, is like, who's that person that I want to partner up on that journey? It's like, who do I want to get together with and like not only have that love between us, but also be examples for our children and be able to, like, I'm just, there's so many things of being a father that I think nowadays with it becoming more of a conscious decision of like choosing to be a father and how you can impact. Like, I think the emotional intelligence, how that's become a bigger topic has allowed us to really understand what impact a father is to a child. And I think the idea of choosing to be a father is just an incredible feeling that I'm looking forward to when the time comes.
All right. Well, 1 week after Father's Day, like this is a nice reminder that, you know what, like we said, they didn't do everything right, but they clearly did their best and they clearly did all right, because that's fucking awesome. So I'm into it. And mine, is everything okay? Nice. Thank you.
Thanks, Dad. See, he's been a good dad already.
She's happy. Bear and Austin, I'm sure, are just waiting for you to get off the call.
They are. They really are.
All right. Well, with that said, thank you guys so much. I could not be happier. I thought I could not be happier when I got on the call, but as love has taught me over the course of my life, I just consistently cannot be happier at all times. Like, it's just, it goes down and then it comes up. Like, this is great. I'm fucking super stoked on this. Thank you guys. Cheers. Love you.
Love you.
Love you guys.
Refinery, episode 2.
Episode 2. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Appreciate you.
Excited for it.
Talk to you in 5 minutes.